American veterans saw those rusty AKs. They saw those decrepit tanks. They saw Russian soldiers using tampons. They saw the slaughters that went on in Bucha, the slaughters that went on in Izium, the slaughters that went on in countless villages that remain unnamed across all of Ukraine. And they said, damn, I gotta go over there and fight and die for this. The Wagner Group is apparently changing its policy on prisoner recruitment. So for the last few months, in December and January, prisoner recruitment has gone down, and the prisoner population in Russia has started to stabilize because it was going down due to just how much these prisoners were being recruited into the Russian army to be used as the frontline cannon fodder, almost like penile battalions to some degree, to have like high loss rates, but to be the first wave of attack to make way for the more experienced troops that would come afterwards, or the regular Russian army that would come afterwards. So that practice has ended. They're no longer penal battalions, not penile, penile battalions, penal battalions. So that practice has ended. Now, the reason the Wagner Group gives for this ending is that they no longer require it, that they are recruiting enough and it's no longer necessary. There seems to be some indication that the Russian Ministry of Defense, the Russian military, the official Russian military, is starting to replace these units more and more with the regular Russian army. But the Wagner Group gave quite a bizarre reason to why they are no longer recruiting prisoners. Not only, like, they gave a few reasons here and there, but the main reason I kind of wanted to highlight, it's here in the ISW report, but I think it's probably better that I read it directly out of the horse's mouth right here. Good afternoon. Can you explain why recruitment into the Russian prison system has ended for Wagner? What is the reason behind this? And then you get the response from Prigozhin, who is the leader of the Wagner Group. After the release of the Wagner PMC advertisement aimed at the American audience, we received, so for those of you who don't know, there was a Wagner ad targeted at Americans. I don't know if somebody has a link to that. We can watch it on stream quickly. We received more than 10 million applications from U.S. citizens wishing to join the Wagner PMC to fight against NATO. At the moment, we are considering about 1 million American citizens for employment. Therefore, we temporarily suspended the recruitment of volunteers from Russian prisons. However, if there is a corresponding request from the U.S. State Department, we will recruit from American ones. The reason the Wagner Group is giving for why they are no longer recruiting prisoners is that 10 million brave Russian patriotic anti-globalist based red-pilled anti-SJW meme lords have decided that they're gonna go over to Russia, to a country they've never been to, a country they've never served, and they're going to join the military because they want to see Ukraine lose. At least when you talk about Ukraine, you can talk about, like, well, liberal democracy and the democratic tradition, and they're the underdog, and you can kind of compare it to the Soviet invasion of Finland and volunteers who went over to fight for the Finns because they believed in their struggle. There's like a reasoning. There's a decent reasoning for why the people are coming over. And on the Ukrainian side, we're not talking 10 million Americans. We're talking, like, I don't know, like 1,000? Maybe 2,000. I don't know the exact numbers. I've met many of the members of the Foreign Legion. Nice guys. But they haven't even come close to like 50,000 or 100,000, let alone 10 million Americans. I mean, how many Americans are actually in? How many Americans are in the American military? As of 2022, the majority of active duty military personnel around the world were stationed in the United States and its territories, with a total of 1.18 million. So we're talking about 9 U.S. militaries. Excluding reserve personnel, we're talking 9 U.S. militaries is what Russia's claiming has applied to go serve with the Wagner group and go fight in Ukraine and die in Ukraine. American veterans saw those rusty AKs. They saw those decrepit tanks. They saw Russian soldiers using tampons. They saw the slaughters that went on in Bucha, the slaughters that went on in Izium, the slaughters that went on in countless villages that remain unnamed across all of Ukraine. And they said, damn, I gotta go over there and fight and die for this. I gotta go over there and fight and die for Russia. Also, can I just put out there, the United States designates the Wagner Group a criminal organization. If Americans go overseas and fight for it, they're going to go to prison before they even, like, get out the door. Before they get on the plane, if the American government finds out, you're gonna go to prison, buddy. And that's not even talking about if you do go over there and you do fight, you better either stay over in Russia or not come back to the United States or not go to any country, because there's multiple countries that consider the Wagner Group a terrorist organization as well. So I don't know if all these people want to go over there and commit like semi-treason and get arrested or who they're talking about, but this is obviously like a made-up number. I don't feel like I need to really explain this to you guys, but this is just Prigozhin trying to find some excuse as to why he can no longer recruit prisoners, which I bet he was pretty hyped about, the fact that he could recruit prisoners, and now he's pretty down and out about it. And so he just needs to pound his chest and say, don't worry, we don't need prisoners, because 10 million Americans will die for the Russians. We don't need to die anymore. The American people is ready to fight against the Ukrainians. It's nonsense. Can we actually look at the the Wagner, can we look at the military ad that they're saying got 10 million Americans to sign up? By the way, I don't even think Wagner Group ad America, I don't even think 10 million Americans saw the ad, right? I don't even think it has 10 million views, let alone 10 million American views. Can we find the ad? Let's see if we can find the ad. Here it is. Let's see. Now remember, this is the ad that they claim convinced 10 million Americans to leave their homes, their wives, their children, their brothers, their sisters, their aunts and uncles, the entirety of their families, leave their jobs behind, leave their school behind, and possibly leave their country behind permanently. Because now they'll be considered a criminal because the Wagner Group, again, is a criminal organization.
NFTMASSACRE got a Tier 1 subscription. NFTMASSACRE got a Tier 1 asterisk subscription.
NFT Massacre, thank you so much for the Tier 1. And hey, by subbing on site chat, you officially signed up to the Wagner Group. Congratulations. You are now it's 10 million and one who have signed up. Let's watch the ad that convinced 10 million Americans to join.
You were a hero to your country, giving your best years in the army. You dreamed of defeating evil. You dreamed of doing much to make America great again. But in reality, you saw criminal others.
I'm sorry, can I just be for real? Number one, could they not, like, I don't think it's bad that they have somebody with an accent, but could they have not, like, just hired somebody on, like, I don't know, Fiverr to read the script? Did they have to just get, like, basically Lord Haw on call to do the script reading? That's the first thing, right? Second thing, make America great again. Little on the nose. Okay, we see who they're aiming this at. Number three, when you're saying you served criminal orders, and look at the footage they play when they say you've served like criminals in your military service.
But in reality, you saw criminal others.
They play footage of World War II. We were on the same side in World War II. So, what criminal? By the way, it does sound like people are pointing this out in gutter chat. It does sound like criminal otters, like we're similar to criminal otter empire. But I don't know why they would play that footage.
The destruction of nations, the death of civilians, And all for the will of a bunch of families who thought they were earthly gods, deciding who would live under their rule and who would be destroyed. To realize that this is the side of evil. This is not the America the founding fathers dreamed of. It has become the focus of the evil that is destroying the whole world. And today,
okay, why did they play this right here? We fought them. The Soviets asked us to bomb Dresden. We bombed Dresden. Also, I saw the Russian Foreign Ministry try to compare, like, you know, the war in Ukraine to the bombing of Dresden, saying, oh, well, America bombed Dresden. The Russians asked us to bomb Dresden. I don't know why they're trying to rewrite history. They did this during the Cold War too, where they tried to convince East Germans that the Americans are so evil because they bombed Dresden, even though it was Stalin who asked us to bomb Dresden. Why do they keep playing World War II footage? We were on the same side. It doesn't even make sense.
And today, the only country fighting this evil is Russia. If you're a true patriot of the very future great America, join the ranks of the warriors of Russia. Help defeat evil.
Dude, what a bizarre statement. If you're a real American patriot, go fight for the foreign army invading and trying to annex territory of another nation. If you're a real American patriot, go fight for this foreign army that's invading Ukraine. What does that even mean? Okay.
Or it will be too late for everyone.
So, go fight for Russia or the world will explode. Totally not a doomsday profiteer. But yes, that apparently is the ad, according to Prigozhin, that got 10 million Americans, even though the video didn't even get 10 million views, 10 million Americans to sign up for Russian military service. My goodness. You know what? It almost got me, but I was able to hold myself back. It was really convincing piece. Very convincing. This is not going to convince any American to go over there and die for Russia. This isn't going to convince anyone. This feels more directed at the domestic audience to make them think like, see, Americans actually support Russia. That's what it seems mostly aimed at. That's why he's saying 10 million signed up to join. But we're never going to see those soldiers in the field. We're never going to see any of them actually over there fighting. They're just saying that to make the public think that, hey, the American people, the true American patriots, are with us. Don't worry about it. They will cave. I think the MAGA crowd might get a few sucked in. I mean, there might be like 5 or 6 people who go over there and like abandon the rest of their life in the United States to live in Russia forever. But I feel like it's quite a long shot. I would say maybe it got shared a lot on Truth Social, but Truth Social doesn't even have 10,000 users. Look, it doesn't have 10,000 users, let alone 10 million. I don't know how many users Truth Social has. I think it has more than 10,000. I don't know exactly how many, but I know for sure this video didn't get 10 million views. 10 million new recruits. Wow, that's very impressive, man. Very impressive. I do want to say that besides the coping and seething from Dmitry Prigozhin saying that the Wagner group, we don't need prisoners anymore because we're going to have all the Americans die for us, has not been reacted to happily by everyone. Well, me personally, I'm happy to see them end the practice because I don't want to see more prisoners used as cannon fodder. Gherkin, Igor Gherkin, who is a war criminal. He is a former FSB agent. He was a former Ministry of Defense for the Donetsk People's Republic, the Russian proxy state set up in Ukraine. And he is a far-right Russian commentator who is extremely pro-war, who wants the Russians to intensify the war on every level. He's always been advocating for mobilization. But the thing that's interesting about Igor Gherkin is that where a lot of people will not let the doomerism consume themselves, he seems to let the doomerism consume himself a lot more because he seems to be somewhat more honest with himself and his audience about the state of affairs. So, and when I say about the state of affairs, I mean like the difficulties that his side faces, not that that he is like honest about like the interest behind the war and why Russia is invading Ukraine, etc. So Gherkin believes that the Wagner terminating recruitment, its days are basically its days are basically numbered, but given the state of the Russian armed forces, there will be no one to replace the death battalions, who are the only ones to achieve any success in recent months. Let's read what he has to say. With regard to the statement by Prigozhin on the termination of recruitment of prisoners in the Wagner PMC, I believe that the termination of recruitment was caused by the order from above, and after some time, it will seriously affect the Wagner's ability to successfully assault one position after another head-on, as is happening now near Bakhmut, simply due to lacking the resources for replenishing of large losses in the infantry. I refrain from evaluating the expediency and the correctness of such a measure, since it is a double-edged sword. The only thing I will repeat for the 100th time is that the death battalions cannot win the war in the absence of normal military discipline and order in the rest of the active army. In the active army, judging by the numerous video messages to the president from Mobniks, everything remains in the same amazing quote-unquote state in terms of supply, armament, provision of basic food and uniforms, etc. He puts amazing in quotation marks, indicating that he's like amazing, quote-unquote. It demonstrates the same signs of decay that our media and cheerleaders relish when discussing the problems of the armed forces of Ukraine. Basically, what he's saying is that we can't win the war with these death battalions alone, and now with the death battalions going away, I highly doubt that we'll be able to replace them with the regular army, since the regular army is still having the same problems when it comes to the level of experience these soldiers have, the good amount of equipment they have, and the logistical problems that come with it. So, seems like we're having a little bit of doomerism from Igor Gherkin in response to the Wagner announcement. Tough break for the Russians.